And we are here. We are live. Yuji is here, along with Red is Sus. It's the Mid Pack, episode 8. How is everyone doing? How are you today, Red?
Yeah, I'm doing well, thanks. Nothing quite like road trippy
Yeah,
to start off a Sunday afternoon.
exactly. It's the official anthem now of I'm going to say it's the official anthem of EMG Clan. Not even just the Mid Pack podcast. It's the anthem for VMG. Definitely not anything on the Spotify.
Bold claims, bold claims.
To
Yeah, we don't have Ancient Jedi on the call to verify,
disagree.
but
But yeah, well, AJ doesn't like start his streams off with anything yet, I should say. He's been thinking of starting his streams off with new songs, but he's not doing anything yet. So I hope I can convince him to go with the road trippy as well. Okay. Well, actually, so we might there's some bit of bad news first off. Unfortunately, Murray Walker, the legendary F1 commentator, has passed away at the age of 97 yesterday. Well, Friday actually. Um, Murray was was the voice of F1 um, for a long time. He started his commentary career in 1978 and kept on going until almost mid 2000s. So he was basically the voice of F1 as we grew up, and he made F1 just absolutely fantastic to watch for us. So it's really sad that he's passed away, but he had a fantastic life, and we're trying to in our small tribute is this really. I mean, other people have done much better, fantastic tributes than we have, but yeah, it's really sad to hear that Murray Walker's passed away. But what we can do is remember what a fantastic legendary commentator he was. F1 has never really been as brilliantly commentated since Murray stopped doing it. And
yeah,
with
I would agree with that. Definitely the voice of F1
he was,
and
yeah, definitely the voice of F1.
very, very constant as well. Kind of went on for such a long period that just became the de facto of F1 commentator voice. You thought F1, like when you think F1, you thought of him. So it's a big loss to the
Indeed.
community.
Right. So, with moving on to a bit more, some more positive positive news. Ferrari finally launched their car, and testing is indeed starting for F1. So, we thought we've gone through some of the previous liveries, so let's rank them. Let's leave Ferrari for last and go through the ones that we have here. So starting off, we'll actually bring this up in chat as well. If you want, you can butt in with your opinions on where we should rank these libraries.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but I was just wondering that little box when you have the chat messages come up at the beginning,
Yeah.
is it possible to have that on the
Oh
stream?
yes, good point. Let me. I forget that OBS has its own little one, and this is rather annoying. I might have to.
Whilst UG is figuring that one out, I think I'll just take over
Go.
hosting duties.
Yeah, you take over
So
hosting duties, please.
essentially we kind of gone through the individual car launches and kind of made comments on kind of what we thought of each one at the time. But now we've got the full set. Thought we'd do well, and also based off how much fun we had on that tier list James Bond episode, we thought we'd do something similar with these liveries. And I think this is a particularly good year to do one of these things because a lot has changed. Um, been quite a few kind of big rebranding exercises, shall I say? So yeah, just a fun one to do.
There we go. The chat should be up on the screen now for you, Red.
Nice.
And hopefully it's a bit annoying that you get chat. Just move.
Yeah,
See if I can move it to a bit better.
I think if you just make the browser window slightly smaller, it should be
Yeah,
fine.
let me do that. That better? The browser window's a bit small, but I suppose the images are not too bad.
Yeah,
We'll
that's
switch it.
fine.
We'll
I think
switch over
we'll
to
try and
switch over
yeah,
to
we'll try and
bigger
find a bigger
images.
picture
Yeah,
for when we're talking about them. So it's fine.
yeah.
Okay, first in the list, it looks like we've got Alfa Romeo.
We do indeed. So let me go find alphas. There we go. Here's the bigger image of the alpha that I have. See this actually. Oops, there we go. So
Yeah,
yeah,
so
very similar. I think we said, and Alpha always had a good, solid library. I think.
Yeah, so this is slightly changed from last year in the sense I think it was more red on the top and white on the bottom, especially on the back end of the car.
Yep.
But basically the same kind of look. Alpha's always used this dark, deep red. It's very kind of an alpha color, shall I say, even on the road cars and everything. So
Yep.
it looks pretty good. I think,
I think A. Start off
yeah,
strong. I think
yeah,
it's A.
yeah, yeah, I agree. It looks pretty good, and I do like that red color.
Yeah. Okay, so then next we have Alpine. Let me try and find Alpine.
Yeah, so Alpine is basically what Renault was last year after its
Here we go.
rebranding. Alpine being the kind of more sports car sub-brand of the Renault group. So they've now decided to kind of carry that over into F1. Renault previously used a black and yellow kind of livery more in line with their corporate colors, but now with Alpine, they've gone to those, which is that blue, isn't it? It's the big kind of blue part, that color is kind of synonymous with Alpine.
Yeah,
And
Alpine's generally been blue. It does have
yeah,
the
and
French flag as well, and just roughly on the sort of tail fin going onto the engine cover and bodywork, just as a reference, and obviously the French flag on the end plates and the front wing, and on the back wing. I didn't see it spelled there before as well,
they,
but
yeah, they also said that the colors are also supposed to represent the British flag colors because of the collaboration with the team in Enstone, which I thought
okay,
was a bit of a stretch, but
that's a
oh well.
stretch. That's a stretch to me.
Yeah.
um, this one's a bit
So,
trickier to place for me. I would say it's a B.
ooh, that is very interesting because general consensus is this is like the favorite amongst a lot of people.
Oh
So
really? Wow.
I
Being
agree. I think it's very, very nice. I think it's somewhere between an S and an A.
oh wow. Okay, so I am
Yeah.
I'm the minority here. I think chat type in S A or B for this one, and at the moment it'll go A.
The one thing about this is I do want to mention something interesting about it is uh, so as some people might know, um, F1 testing is currently undergoing, and instead of having kind of launch spec cars, they're actually running cars they're testing. So the Alpine pictured is actually just last year's Renault painted in different colours. The Alpine that's going to race this year has a very interesting new look. Um,
Boom. There we go. This is why I'm saying B. Of the huge engine cover that it's got on it.
yeah, so if where we're looking, so to people not kind of well versed with F1, they might be looking at this picture thinking, what's weird about this? So the main thing is the engine cover slash air intake behind the driver's head is actually really, really wide.
It's
Um,
fat.
yes.
I'm body shaming it. It's fat.
Body shaming was actually even used as a quote by, I think, what was it, the team principal said
The
he was
principal, yeah.
surprised about the amount of body shamings that's going on. Um, but yeah, it's a weird, different take on aerodynamics. Essentially, what they're doing is they're packaging a lot of the cooling components higher up in that section of the car and moving it away from the side pods, which are the two kind of lower bits, yeah, where Yuji's mouse is now. So it's basically like the amount of cooling is probably same, apart from it's now shifted higher up in the car. And this traditionally isn't done because it would increase the center of gravity and makes a car less good at handling. But the thinking this year for them is it moves stuff out of the way lower down in the car, which means they can control the aerodynamic flows around there a bit better. So they claim that it's an overall advantage to do this. So taking the hit in terms of distribution and looks, and for aerodynamic gain. But anyway, going back to the livery.
Yep. So we have one person, Sam at DLS, claiming it's a D. I, you're wrong. Just no. It's definitely not a D. uh, for me, it's a B because of that whole engine cover thing. But that's not really a livery. Admittedly, it's more of a bodywork
Yeah, so
feature.
it depends if we want to talk about the livery or the car in general. I would agree. I really don't like the look of that. I think it's way too high up in the car and just looks
Yeah.
kind of strange. So I'm happy for it to go to B for that reason. But on colours alone and design, I think it's A.
Okay. I'll happy. I agree. I'll let it go A. I see no one's apart from Seminole, no one's really complaining that's going an A, so it's going A. Um, right. Next up, we have the Aston Martin. Where's Aston Martin on the list? Okay, that's Williams. I wish this was alphabetical on BBC. Here we go. Here we go. Here's the Aston Martin. I love this British Racing Green. The little pink stripe. It's reminiscent of the old Jaguar. This for me is an A or higher.
Yeah, it's a strange one because I think it's one of those colours which changes a lot depending on the ambient lighting. But in their press shots, it was very green. But when you see the cars on track, it changes. Sometimes it even looks really dark and almost like a black color.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, I like their press shots a bit more where the pink stripe was more a red. I think that looked better. I think this pink stripe, I know that it's there probably because of VWT, they're one of their sponsors, but it's a bit too pink for me. I don't think it quite works.
I
Um,
think it's a nice little callback as well to the whole Racing Point pinkness. So
yeah,
there we
yeah, no, fair point, fair point. Gonna put it in S then.
go. I will put it in S. I think it goes in S simply for nostalgia, for Jaguar nostalgia.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fine.
it goes in S. It's going in S. Right, next is the AlphaTauri. Where's AlphaTauri? Here we go. I am not a massive fan. I
Yeah,
preferred last season's. So far, these should be max speed. Samdale, your only one that's B is, in my opinion, is Alpine. So you're just wrong. Although this one could go B. It's AlphaTauri last. I much prefer AlphaTauri's last season's car was a white, mainly white with the blue accents, whereas this is mainly blue with the white accents. I think it's such a step
yeah.
down that I think it's a C.
I think they've done basically what Alfa Romeo did, right? They just inverted their
They've
livery
inverted
kind
the
of thing.
colours, yeah.
So uh, the thing is, I think the release press shots, um, the blue looks really, really nice, but in this image, it just looks wrong. And
It looks bad,
also
yeah.
on track, I think it looks pretty bad. So yeah, I don't think it's good at all.
Yeah, in fact, yeah, it's going into C. I don't think it's quite a D. It's not like horrendous. It's yeah. We'll go for C for now.
Yeah, let's put it in there. We can rejiggle it
Rejig it.
at the end.
Haas. Okay, Haas. That's Alpha. Oh,
So Haas, the
the
one and only
Russian
Russian
American
team
car.
in F1. No. So yeah, the most American team in F1
With the Russian flag
now
on
looks
it.
like the most Russian. So take that what you will. In fact, Haas has already come into a little bit of trouble because of this. Mainly because due to that, I don't know how to even describe it. When Russia got into a little bit of trouble around doping, one of their punishments was that Russian athletes weren't allowed to use the Russian flag when they were representing their country for various things. And the FIA, the governing body of Formula One, has signed onto that agreement essentially. So the Haas F1 team are now in a bit of trouble because their lead driver, well, not lead driver, one
I
of their
don't think he's
two
lead.
main drivers, um, is
He's Russian and he's basically driving around with Russian colours on a sport, which you wouldn't think that F1 is signed with WADA, but they are. So it's potentially illegal. At the moment, they're fine. I think it's still pending, but it is. It'll be interesting to see. It's a story to keep keep a look on. Why if House are forced to change. I mean, they could claim that this is the American colors of red, white, and blue, even though this is blatantly the Russian flag on the wing.
Literally, there couldn't be less. Oh God, it couldn't be more the Russian flag on the wing. 3 elements. It's
Yeah.
just
But we're
uh,
not we're not ranking it based on illegalness and stuff. We're ranking on how cool it looks. If I'm being honest, I'm not. I think I preferred the previous season. I think the Black Hass was the best one, where it had the black and the gold from Rich Energy. Um, this kind of reminds me of a bad Williams. Is what this reminds me of. Like the less
really
good.
good point.
It
Yeah,
reminds me of like the Martini Williams, but like a really bad rip off of it.
yeah. They just got the red and blue proportions wrong.
Yeah.
I agree. It's not horrible looking. Like if there was a think if there was a genuine Russian F1 team, they ran this.
It would make sense. But
I'd be like, not awful, but well, obviously doesn't like this one either.
yeah, Sam just doesn't like any of these at the moment. As to why there's no F tier, it's because I didn't actually make this tier list. Someone got there before me. I was midway through it, and then Red pointed out that someone had already did it. So I was like, oh, I'd better not waste my time then. So I just used theirs. So yeah, they did not use an F tier. I don't know who actually made this. It doesn't say
Don't
who
name and shame. Don't name and shame. Let's move on. Right.
did.
Um,
Yeah, oh yeah. So Haas, where are we ranking this? I think this is a C again.
yeah, so if we're taking out all the like political angles and stuff, then yeah, I think it's all right, but it's not good. I don't
Yeah,
think it has to be worse than the
I think it does go
Tauri one
below
though.
the AlphaTauri.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Next up we have McLaren, who are up. Who got the
Yeah, so
signature orange and blue. Well, I
yeah, up
say
until
blue.
now
It's
I
blue is
guess
not really signature. Orange is their signature, but I guess blue is becoming their signature. You'd think they drop it, seeing that they're no longer Renault, and go with silver or black. But hey,
but that's your theory, right? I never heard that the blue was for Renault.
yeah, that's true. This is just me making stuff up.
Yeah. Yeah, so up until now we've basically had teams where their livery has changed quite significantly, but McLaren definitely hasn't. I think it's a good thing. I mean, for me, I would have the blue a little bit lighter.
Yeah, and I'm not a
But
fan of the blue on the nose here.
yeah,
So Sam says best so far. That's an interesting claim. I think I do. I'm a massive fan of the orange. This the papaya orange. Like it's very different, very non-corporate almost color. Even though it is now a
strange because
corporate,
it is a corporate color.
even though
Yeah,
it is a corporate color. But yes, it
yeah,
is
yeah.
a. It's. I mean, to be fair, McLaren have only like it was orange was their historical color, but they didn't run it for quite a long time. When they were well, when Ron Dennis was head honcho, he actually ran sponsored themed colours. And then only once Zach Brown has taken over that, they've returned back to the papaya orange
That's because they had no
because they
sponsors.
had no sponsors. But I think when it was just plain orange, I think that was the best version of it. Um, Now that they've added a few sponsors and added a bit of blue, I'm not as massive a fan of it, but I do think it's still a very good. It's still like I think Sam is correct. It is a confident and bold color, and just stands out from the other teams'
Yeah, I
cars.
think the only thing you can complain about for this livery are like tiny things, and also the fact that it hasn't changed. It's not much different from last year's.
Yeah,
But I think that's a stupid criticism in many respects. Like I don't think new necessarily means better. So
yeah.
as we'll find out with some other teams coming on later. But um, yeah, I think it's pretty good.
I think this goes A.
You think A?
I think
Yeah.
so far this for me this is top of A. Slightly better than I think this is still better. Well, for me, I think this is still better than the Alpine. We'll probably
Oh,
have more arguing to do about the Alpine about whether
yeah,
it
sure.
goes.
Yep, next.
Next, oh, I clicked on the wrong thing.
Have Mercedes.
Yep, Mercedes. Let me go back.
Yes, I think we talked about this one a little bit when Blick first got announced, and we talked about how they teased like a really nice livery, and then we weren't too sold on the final result.
Yeah,
Um,
we thought the teaser was better looking than the actual finished end product. I think we
I
basically
think we said that there were too many AMGs
it's very
in
messy at the back
the
end.
back corner, too
Now
much
it's
red,
yeah, a bit red, random.
and
It
yeah,
it just didn't flow as nicely from the black to silver in the real product as it did in the teaser.
mm, yeah, and like I think we've always had like the Mercedes three-pointed star in that region where now there's loads of AMG logos
Exactly, yeah.
instead. So it feels like a downgrade. It feels like the star pattern was much classier.
It's
The
classier and
AMG is
cleaner.
just like,
This just clutter and a bit kind of tacky almost. It feels like
yeah,
there's
it's really
graffiti on the
tacky.
car.
It feels like they're trying too hard to advertise AMG,
Yeah.
uh, like sports car division. So yeah, what do you think?
Uh,
You'll see. Still not a bad livery
it's not
overall.
bad. It's not bad. It's more the fact I was disappointed than anything else. I think this is B, potentially dropping to a
Yeah,
C. But
I
because I
think
haven't got
B.
anything in B, we'll put it in B.
Yeah.
And next up we have Red Bull.
Yeah, so
Has
Red
this
Bull have
changed?
had absolutely no changes. Taken the Aston Martin logos off
Yeah.
because Aston Martin are a real team now, and then the Honda logos have got a bit bigger. So that's it.
That said,
It goes to
it's
B,
yeah, it's
I
B.
reckon.
I think it's B. I think it's kind of almost an iconic livery now. It's just Red Bull. This is their livery.
I've never thought it was a bad looking livery.
Yeah.
There were a couple of earlier Red Bull ones which were a bit like I'm thinking like 2005 era Red
Yeah.
Bull was like, or Toro Rosso was like, ugh. But the latest couple have looked good.
Yeah.
So
And next we have Williams, who did went completely different. Well, I say completely. It's very different from last year. Um,
yeah.
I think last year they were like mainly white with hints of blue. Now they've got kind of. This is not a. Let me see if I can get. Well, I'll have both of them up so you can see. France is kind of white, and then as it goes into the cockpit area to front, it switches to a blue with a bit kind of stripy thing, well, light blue stripes along it. I'm not sure what to make of this one because I kind of like it, but then I'm just not really sure about this one. I'm kind of like I it's I think if you when you're looking at it from the side, that you may and when you're going past, you may confuse it with an Alpine. Like it's not very distinct from the other ones, but from the front, it's
Yeah.
still it's kind of it is different. It's different enough.
I find this one hard to put in my head because I think, let's say theoretically, Haas revealed their livery and it looked exactly like this, apart from the sponsors. You'd probably say, "Oh, it looks all right." Kind of digging it. It's kind of weird and different. But because it's a Williams, I'm a bit like, hard to hard to see any Williams in that. Could just be any generic car.
Exactly. And apart from the W here, which is kind of a bit it's not as easy to spot on first viewing.
Yeah.
Kind of blends into the stripes.
I'm gonna say C for this one. I
I
don't
think
hate it.
C as well. I don't really hate it. I think it goes above. I think it goes top of C. Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
goes top of C. Right, and finally we have the last car launch. So let's actually get their launch pictures up. It is the Fezza, or Ferrari Team Ferrari, the Forza Ferrari. Um, I actually have done something a bit different this year.
Yeah, so I think this is the only one we haven't really covered on its own. They've added a bit of darker red near the back of the car, like around the rear wheel. Um, and the elephant in the room is the massive green Mission Willow logo.
Yeah,
Um,
it
yeah,
gone back, which
what the
straight
hell is
away from
going
the
on there?
white. I actually kind of like that they've changed it up. It's kind of it's different. Oh, Sam does not like this at all. Disgusting, as he says.
What the hell is going on? I actually 100% agree with Sam in this case. Like, what the hell were they thinking? Mission Winnow?
Well, it's.
Don't think
I mean, we call
don't
them
think it's
Mission Weather, but
green, is
they're
it?
still just Marlboro. It's just Marlboro under different branding.
Fine, but their corporate colors aren't green, so it makes absolutely no sense. If it was a green company, it
Yes.
might be like we need to work their colors into our livery. But okay, we'll settle for this. Don't, from what I can tell, my brief like research, it's like they've got no association with this color of green.
I mean, the only
So
thing is green is like just maybe Italian from Ferrari, but that again, that's got nothing to do with
the wrong
Marlboro or
shade of
yeah.
green for that. If there's not the Italian like dark-ish green, it's like a really weird light green.
True.
I don't
Yeah,
see
it
this at
is.
all.
It
I
is.
actually just think that they stuck it on there. Either they sent it to the printers and it came out the wrong color, and they were like, uh-oh, what happened? Still need to put it on the car though, got nothing else. Or they've put it on there just purely to mess with people as like a publicity stunt. Yeah, don't understand.
I will say one thing I do like is the two-tone from lighter red to dark red in the back. I kind of wish it was a bit more of that from rather than maybe it happens a bit earlier from and a bit more gradual change.
I think, yeah, I agree. The transition is too sudden. It's basically like our car is two colors.
Yeah,
A fade would have been maybe looked a bit better. I don't know.
yeah.
On the front,
So
there's no difference.
let's where do you want to put this one? I am from what
Putting it bottom of the
you're
list.
putting it bottom. I would have put it bottom of C, but I think I think we don't have anything in D, so it's going in D. This is good. It's going there. All right, so let's go through. So the Aston Martin, um, we're putting the Aston Martin green in S tier. Um, McLaren's papaya with the blue highlights in top of A, followed by Alpine's blue, and then Alfa Romeo's inverted white and red. Red Bull, they're traditionally top of B. Mercedes with the black to silver tone with AMG graffitis bottom of B. Williams top of C with their white with blue. Alpha Tauri next with their uh, inverted white and blue. Haas with their Russian American car, and then Ferrari at bottom with their random green Marlboro logo. Well, Mission Willow, but whatever, it's Marlboro under different branding. Um, any changes? Anything you want to disagree with?
I think that's pretty good. I think it's at the end of the day, all of these things are personal preference. I personally would put the Alpine above McLaren, but it's in the right tier, so I'm not gonna push it too much.
Cool. Chat. If this now is your time, if you want to if you want to influence us in any way, you have 30 seconds. Well, not even that. You have 10 seconds. I am seeing nothing, so oh,
There it is, the
there it is.
official.
This is the official tier list for liveries this year. Anything else you hear is completely wrong. We are the sole proprietors on this subject. Right. So I think it's time to start. We did announce it last week, so I think it's time to go with part one. I think at the end of last week, we kind of mainly last week we ranked James Bond cars that appeared in the movies, and then teased that what if we actually ranked, or well, what if we tried to find the best car or the best live action car in all movie slash TV history. So what we've done is created this. It is called Bracket Fights. Well, we didn't create it. We created the bracket, but we didn't create the system. There's a site called Bracket Fights, and we've scoured what we think are the best 16 live action cars. And I won't go through all the bracket. We'll announce announce them as we go through. But this week we're going to start out with two heavyweights, and we're going to start off with the Ford Mustang GT 390 Fastback from from Bullitt, and the Nissan Skyline R34 GTR from Too Fast Too Furious. And the reason why we picked these is that both these cars influence car culture in a in both in their as cars themselves and in their respective movies. So me and Red are gonna champion one, and then one will go through to the next round, and then we'll go from there. And then eventually, as this goes through, we'll determine what is the best live action car in all of live action history. So I believe, Red, do you want to take the GTR first, or do you want me to introduce or go through why? And actually, what I should say, Red is going to champion the GTR, while I will be championing the Mustang. So do you want me to champion the Mustang first, or do you want to take the GTR out for the spin first?
I'll take the GTR. Why not?
So do
Because
you want
this
to
is
go
going to be
first?
easy. So there's no point.
Oh
Yeah,
wow,
yeah, I'm going to go first. Cause,
fighting talk already. Think GTR saying
I
he's thinking the GTR will go through. Oof.
think people have already made up their minds already, and we don't even need to do any of this talking. But anyway, for uh, for completeness, I will go through my points. So yeah, so this is the car that kind of alongside the Supra, I guess, but one of the key cars that made tuner culture mainstream. Um, Tuner culture, I guess, was popular in Japan, but kind of not really much elsewhere for a long time. And this film and this car was key in getting it into the eyes of the mainstream. This car, for example, the R34, was never sold in the US at all. No one in the US, well, no one, but very few people in the US knew about it. For the making of this film, they had to import them and make them legal in the US to actually kind of film with them. Um, so, and then basically, then the makers of Too Fast, Too Furious, especially this particular car guy called, I think it's like Chris Lieberman or something like that. He picked out of all the possible cars in the world at that time, he picked this car to be the star of Too Fast and Too Furious. And it was going to be until Mitsubishi had something to say about it and basically sponsored Mitsubishi Evolution to be the protagonist's main car. But Skyline had a small role at the beginning, and a small role was all that was required for it to become an instant icon. I
It
think to
basically
this
stole
day,
the
if you
show in the
asked,
film.
yeah, I think if you asked anyone who watched this film, they would remember this car way more than the Evo. Um, so the car comes from like a long line of Nissan Skyline. So this is the R34. They had the R30, 30, 31, 32, 33. 32 was named Godzilla because it was so good at destroying supercars of its time. And this is like the continuation. Part of the reason why it was so good is because it had like four-wheel steering and four-wheel drive, massive amounts of torque and controllability. So much so, in fact, that it was not a very good movie car. It wouldn't do burnouts and drifts and skids because it just had so much inherent grip. So word on the street is that they had to disable all of these systems and take out the front drive shafts, actually make it do burnouts and skids for the film. Yeah.
Cool.
Uh,
Right. So that's your that is what you're putting forward this for the GTR to come
yeah.
through as the best version. Well, over the Mustang. So I will riposte. Hold on, let me just get the the big screen image of the Mustang up, and then let me consult my notes as to why I believe the Mustang should actually win this fight. So, a bit on the Mustang. The Mustang is the icon of muscle cars. And this one in the the actual car they used was the 1968 G, GT390 Mustang. So that's had a 6.4 liter engine. I can't remember exactly how much horsepower it had, but it was considerable at its time. And Mustang itself was actually selling reasonably well for Ford, but when its appearance in Bullitt actually really sealed the deal, and it basically made Ford a lot of money. Uh, so a bit of intro about the well, and another reason why the the Mustang should go through is arguably the greatest chase scene of all time happened in Bullitt, and this was the car that did the chase. Steve McQueen's character, who's I think the name was Frank Bullitt, hence why the film's called Bullitt, is chasing the bad guys in a Dodge Charger, and he's in this green Mustang chasing them down. The actual chase scene itself was not in the script, and Steve McQueen himself suggested they put it in. McQueen actually wanted to do all of the chase, but he was only in about 10% of it. What actually happened was he was doing a right turn. Mustang's a tight right turn. Muscle cars, as we know, are not as well known for their turning capabilities. And even though McQueen was a good driver, he's not a professional, so he actually he crashed. I should bring it to a point. So there are actually only two cars used in the film: a hero car and a stunt car. So for those of you who don't know, a hero car is the car that's used for the close-up shots and the shots that are made to look the car good looking, and then the stunt car is actually the car that's been modified. I think the to actually be able to do the chases and do all the stunts required. If I remember, the stunt car had its dampers strengthened and its power cranked up a little bit. But there was not much changed on the stunt car. So back on to the stunt itself, McQueen actually crashed the stunt car in one of the takes of the one of the takes in the chase, and then he had to be replaced when they rebuilt the stunt car. He had to be replaced by a professional stunt car driver. A bit of history about the car itself. So about the two cars itself, they actually the hero car was bought straight after filming and was went missing, and the stunt car was thought destroyed after after it finished filming. One of the chase scenes obviously has the stunt car doing a jump, and the car was kind of thought to be destroyed during that. McQueen himself actually wanted to buy the car, but the owner. So actually, I should say, after the hero car went missing, it was refound in the museum and was bought at an auction for like a ridiculous amount of money at the time. McQueen wanted to buy it back, but he was refused by the owner, and it's still with that owner's family to this day. Um, and yeah, so the Mustang, it is basic. Mustang is the icon of American muscle. It's of the whole Motown scene, and it being in Bullitt was a massive reason for that. We probably wouldn't have an American muscle culture if it not for this film and if not for this car. So that is the reason why I'm putting forward the Mustang as the Mustang from Bullitt as the car that should go through in this bracket. So we've put forward our cases. Chat, if you're still there, it's up for you to decide. So type in Mustang or Skyline, and we'll count up the votes, and whoever has the most votes will win this bracket. Type away while me and Red just sit by and grab some water. I think, and grab a little drink.
Feels like we're basically doing the old typical thing of like muscle versus tuner.
It is very muscle versus tuner. I do have to point out I love both these cars. Which um, if I was going to buy a car for myself, I would buy the Skyline. But I think for how it influences movies, the Mustang is kind of a bit more relevant. I think the Skyline is
Yeah,
undoubtedly the better car. It's and more influential in car. It's definitely the better car and the car I'd want to own. But I think it didn't have me personally. I think it didn't. It stole the show. I think it was only in the what? It was only in like 10 minutes of Too Fast Too Furious, but that was the only takeaway from that film. If it was in the film for more, I would say yeah. But I think the Mustang is kind of has more of a relevance in the film.
yeah. I think also it's hamstrung by the fact that Too Fast Too Furious wasn't an amazing film.
What are you talking about? It's
Anyway,
an amazing film.
it's an amazing film because we like the cars in it, Evie. It's not because it's an amazing film. outright. So yeah, I think it's hamstrung by essentially it's very, very, very popular amongst a niche crowd. Overall, films like I think that's why. I think that's why you're probably correct. Like overall, the Mustang probably had more influence on the world.
Well, yeah, I think the Mustang from Bullitt had a more influence in the world. I think the Skyline itself as a car has a lot of influence, but I think the Skyline from Too Fast Too Furious. To be fair, I think there are a few cars like we could have picked from Too Fast Too Furious or from the Fast and Furious franchise. There's the Dodge Charger that the what's his name drives. There's the Toyota Supra from the first film. Yeah, Dom.
Yeah,
And then I think we settled on the Skyline because this is the one that grabbed our attention. Um,
yeah. The Mustang, sorry, the Dodge Charger. It's like doesn't feel like a Too Fast Too Furious. Sorry, it doesn't feel like a Fast and Furious car in the sense that it's already been done by the American Muscle thing has been done to death
yeah, and
by things like the Bullet.
yeah, and there and don't worry, the Charger may a potential spoiler for future episode. There is there might be a slightly more famous Charger appearing in a different bracket. Alright, okay, the
Okay,
Mustang's taking the lead in votes.
I think we have to crown the Mustang the
I think
winner.
we do. I think the Mustang takes this round. Ding ding ding. So here's a preview for our next fight. Um, Herbie, the VW Beetle from the Herbie films versus the Mini Cooper from the Italian Job. I think that'll be it. Basically, the theme for this one is small family cars. So yeah, you have to watch next week to see us champion each, see well who will champion which car, and I potentially could be one-sided, as someone in chat has pointed out, as Sam's point shouted out. Uh, I think one of us might have to draw straws to champion one. We'll have to draw straws
Yeah,
to see which car we champion.
I was gonna say, like, can I take the minis, please?
Well, one of us is gonna have to play devil's advocate. But yeah, no, the theme of this one was small family cars that became famous. So stay tuned for next week's episode. And with that, we've run for about 40 minutes. I think that's where we'll call it. I think that was a pretty Mini Keeper. Okay. I think Molly with us is also like the Mini Keeper is gonna take it, but stay tuned. You have to stay tuned to find out next week. Uh, and with that, I think it's time. Anything you want to plug, Red?
That was good.
Cool beans, thank you. All right, so let me just do our usual outro. So yeah, subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. Subscribe, and if you want to participate, and if you are watching this YouTube and want to participate in like the rankings and chat, follow me. UG is here, and while you're there, follow Ancient Jedi One and Dark Lord Samadel, who are doing. If you're interested in Pokemon, they do a lot of Pokemon streams. Ancient Jedi is recently he's starting his podcast called and with DLS Dark Samadel called the Machamp of the Week. Basically, they've entered into a draft league and they will be doing weekly highlights of their battles and is should hopefully be pretty good. I think they had a episode 0, I should say, right, which is previewing the teams that were drafted. It was actually quite fascinating to watch. I definitely enjoyed it. So you should definitely check that out. And with that, I think it's time to say thank you all very much for watching, and see you all next week. UG is no longer here.